Hey everybody, welcome to our very first ever quick draft. We've done plenty of bot drafts historically on this stream, but we have not actually drafted with the bots since the introduction of human drafting on Arena, because we're thrilled to have human drafting on Arena, but we're also kind of interested, curious, scientific, and I want to see what these bots are like with Ikoria after a couple weeks of draft data that no doubt they are using to inform these bots. And I'm very specifically, I'm curious if the red-white cycling deck is Ikoria's version of the blue mill deck in Eldraine, which is to say when the bots did not prioritize parts for it, it was bustedly open every time. And when the bots did prioritize the parts for it, you couldn't get it at all. And by the end, we all preferred the latter. Let's just get rid of that archetype entirely via bots. And they basically did. They killed the archetype on Arena via bot adjustments. And given the buzz in the community about the power of the red-white cycling deck and the ease with which you can get it because of the replaceability of the parts, the thing with the red-white cycling deck is all you need are a certain density of payoffs. I was asking chat what they thought about that yesterday, and people were kind of in that 5 to 7 range of payoffs is where you want to feel like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling good now. I got some payoffs. And of course, there's a range of power level within those to an extent, but the point is almost any combo of them will do as long as you have a couple of key ones. We can talk about various strategies of how to mitigate the rest of your deck around which of the payoffs you did or didn't get to support it. But really, we're going to go in hardcore forcing. Like, this is going to be a literal force. I am going to assume that I am a red-white cycling deck and draft accordingly from pack one, pick one, just to put these bots to the test and see how it goes. When we get to the end of this draft, I'm going to speak with Chad about how much we want to actually play it out. This is mostly an experiment to poke at the bots, which we can play to the extent that chat would like to play after we get going. So we'll talk about that at the end. But it's almost like whether it's an amazing cycling deck or a garbage cycling deck, we might not want to battle this event through to the end. So I don't care. I'm not taking Vivian. There is nothing taking me off cycling. This is a true force. I often advocate leaning to or looking to the availability of, and I do recommend that. Like, keep your eye on the availability of the cycling deck and hedge towards it if you can. That's my actual advice. But in this case, we are literally forcing. So if you shouldn't really force anything, but if you're going to force yourself to buy some physical Magic cards, I would do it from Card Kingdom as a first option. Certainly have them on your radar. They are my sponsors, and they have been very kind to me through the pandemic, supporting me and my stream as I support them through this weird and tough time. And they are taking orders. They are taking buy list submissions, and they are on about a 2-week turnaround right now for orders because they cannot staff up to their normal standards to turn stuff around, but they do have a staff that is getting them out as they can. So keep that in mind, and if you need anything for your tabletop Magic game, you know where to get them, cardkingdom.com, and you know how to get there. My affiliate link down below, that lets them know you got there from here, which helps me a lot. And here we go. Let's jump in. Hey, it's going to be like I'm now, I've gotten used to the human queue that comes up. Well, this is a bot draft. I can go right into draft view because we're going to get pack one, pick one straight away here. Extinction Event, excellent card, but nothing to do with red-white cycling. We're forcing here. We're forcing. And this is a terrible pack for forcing that. We might want weaponize the monsters as a decent outlet. The only thing with actual cycling is Hampering Snare, which I would hope would wheel here. There's nothing we can take that hates from others getting into it. Like, I wouldn't want to take Sergeant or Sabretooth just to cut white, for example. So yeah, we could. This is splashable. You can splash in these decks, even though you're running 13 lands. I have been known to take tap lands. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Let me see what my extra text is. Oh yeah, sure, I can do this actually. See how that looks. Good call. Let's put that up here. Except that's hard to see. Oh well, you can see, right? Good enough. Yeah, I keep looking for the timer, right? No timer. I'm going to take Weaponize. I think this is the best card in the pack for a cycling deck. Potentially splashing the extinction event is close. Actually, they probably will pass this, right? We could take this on the possible splash. There is truly nothing here for the cycling deck, so even taking this isn't not forcing it. It's me bot drafting and saying we will take this and wheel either Weaponize or Snare if the bots are anything to write home about, or that's my expectation. So we'll take the rare as a possible splash, but we are, here we go. Here's what I'm talking about. Now we take the clear Flourishing Fox. Should be pretty quick to draft this type of deck too. We've got a Startling Development with Cycling 1. And that's going to be it here. I like it over Easy Prey at Cycling 2. We just want the ones where we can. Cycling 1 edges out most stuff. Like, it's going to win here. This has Cycling and ends up often playable. This is often playable in Red-White Cycling 2 because of the amount of time you're doing things like cycling Memory Leak, but we still just want the one. Blitz is reasonable. It is true, it's reasonable, but I'm still not passing it. Like, I just want Cycling 1s when they're there, and I'm gonna prioritize that because sometimes you just get this where it's just not there. Like here, I'm taking a Cliffs for the possible blue splash. It's more important than either of these. Here's Cycling 2. But here's Cycling 1. Yeah, castable Cycling 2. I mean, we're red-white. We're forcing red-white. If this were like a castable red-white Cycling 2, maybe we take it, but I'm continuing to prioritize Cycle 1. And then we get a late healer. That's a good sign. Well, exactly. You know, chicken jokes. Forcing red-white cycling. First 5 picks include 1 white card and no red cards. Exactly what's so weird about the deck, right? Here, we are talking about, you know, if between the 2 memory leaks we have and the extinction event, I kind of like suffocating. We're expecting the other. Oh, this is pack 1, pick 9. So this is the wheel we expected. Suffocating fusion is interesting, but I'll take the Weaponize we were hoping would wheel. And here we go. Here's a land I want to take to support casting Extinction Event and Memory Leak. And it's fine to pick up. So basically the hierarchy is excellent payoffs, Cycle 1, and castable Cycle 2. Like those are my top 3 priorities. And kind of castable Cycle 2, maybe in above castable Cycle 2 is like premium red-white stuff that's not synergistic, you know, like the 2 mana deal 3 loot card, for example. Nothing here for us. Yeah, we can't really play any of this, but I suppose if we were desperate, I would play this over anything else I'm seeing there. Rummage is what I meant. Yes, thank you. So this is an on-color, like this is the rare tri-land you want. So we'll have to see a great payoff to not take that. Like, we have a Cycle 1 and a Cycle 1 healer. And, but the cycling on a land is so great. It's so great, even though it's cycling 3, supporting all 3 of the likely colors you're going to want to be casting. Of course, we're looking at maybe some black as well, but this is worth it to me over healer and ambush, I kind of expect one of these to wheel, actually. We got a very late healer, so it doesn't look like the... Media says you don't want the rare lands. I disagree, Media. I guess multiple people are disagreeing with me. I think these are amazing in the deck as extra lands, because cycling on lands is just way more powerful than any other permanent type you can have cycling on. So I'm glad we have a controversial pick at least. This is what I'm going to take. This is a rough pick for a cycling deck. We have Escape Protocol, which you would think, which reads like a cycling reward, but it's not really, because none of the creatures you play in this deck have ETB triggers, so this doesn't do anything. What do we want to do? Reset the counters on our Fox? So maybe if this had cycling, you'd still run it, but this is not actually a cycling deck card. And Essence Scatter, actually most likely to end up played, or Arrow. I was going to talk about this anyway. Cards, so I will go removal lists if I have a bunch of snare tacticians. Like, let's say I have 4 snare tacticians. If I have 4 snare tacticians, I'm not looking to play any Divine Arrow, because my opponent is never attacking or blocking. Their creatures are going to be tapped at all times. But in this case, we don't have any snare tacticians yet, so taking cheap removal is a nice hedge, because we're looking to go we're gonna look, well, that's fail hard. Yeah, you fail hard without removal, and that's why you have to be aware of your tactician count and how much that impacts how much you need removal. In our case, we have no tacticians, so we definitely need arrows. And this is where I like also the 2 mana, because we're trying to operate on pretty low land count, and you're often cycling for land. And so you want to be able to do things on turn 4, like play your cycle. Cycle 1, find a tap land, play it, still have 2 mana left to Divine Arrow something, untap with 4 land, that kind of thing. So we're going to take Arrow here. And here we go. Here's a payoff. We're looking for these. I also want Cathartic Reunion in a good cycling deck. Cathartic Reunion can be used early if you just have the wrong mix of stuff in 2 lands. You can just do this to kind of figure out try to get your hand straight. But really, the performance piece for this is the high performance move with it is when you sandbag a couple of lands in the mid game and then turn 2 lands and this into 3 fresh draws. That's incredible feeling. You think this will wheel? Oh, I don't care. I'm not going to risk it. This might wheel. We got to take these great payoffs. Here's what I mean by castable 2s. This is kind of technically castable if we end up with enough of the blue lands, but we're going to take Will here. Hey, Hat. Not getting the cyclers, you say? I don't know. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cyclers already. I think that's pretty solid. We're about to add 9. We can add an Evolving Wilds. Do we play Evolving Wilds in this deck? I mean, I'm willing to play tap land, so I don't see why I wouldn't with the Wilds. It means we'd have to play like an island, though, which I don't really want to do, I think is the issue there. But I don't like any of these cards, so I'm going to take the Evolving Wilds, and we'll talk about whether that belongs in or not. Here's a Crystal. These are pretty easy inclusions, too, especially when they're this is nice because we can run this. Oh, hey, we really need to get that out of their hand. We can play this and then be able to cast Extinction Event and Memory Leak. So this is a fine pick. So is Shredded Sails. That's on plan. Cycling 2, but castable. Yeah, like if we, but we might need to be like, here's an Essence Scatter I'm going to take. And we got a the Cathartic Reunion I want, which I'll take over the green cycling 2. Usually in a good cycling deck, you're cutting off color cycle 2s. That's the dream. Your cycling deck is not where you want it to be when you're running things like Wilt. Frankly, it's not the end of the world, but it's doubling the cost of your cycling, which really hampers your flexibility. But we're going to need some. I want to see some Snare Tacticians in the next packs. They may have had the bots like really prioritize Snare Tacticians because I'm not seeing those, but we might just not be opening them. Playable Cycler again. Another Essence Scatter. This is a very late Essence Scatter. We might be forced into a more blue-based cycling. But again, also this is the power of like forcing. We are forcing red-white, but our fallback plan is a heavier blue thing that would work fine as well, you know? Here's a red, white, black, fun endgame payoff. But we also have a Draneth Stinger. Probably just want the Stinger. But this is a fun endgame target in red, white. Like, you can do this, you know? Yeah, you have to take the Stinger. It's just perfectly on plan, but I really do want a Ruinous Ultimatum at the top end of my cycling deck curve at one point. And then yes, Go for Blood would be a very nice wheel. Is there anything else we would want to wheel? Not really. Go for Blood is our fingers crossed wheel. Stryanek asks if we would ever play Wilds. Well, we have one, and I think it depends on how much blue we're doing. Like, if we end up like playing 2 Essence Scatters, then yeah, we would play an Island and an Evolving Wilds and have basically a true Jeskai cycling deck. Footfall Crater we hope to wheel, but same with the Ambush. We're just going to get 2 cycling 1s out of this pack, I think. We'll start with this one and then wheel this one. This is the worst one, so we'll take the slightly better one here. We've had this as a fun backup plan in our white-red cycling decks. Because, again, another strength of kind of forcing or really leaning into the archetype is you have fallback plans that don't suck. Like, just, you know, that kind of thing. But Marmoset, pretty easy. So this is one of my quote good payoffs. Like, oh, it's one of the, it's a good payoff. It kind of becomes must kill for Oppo. In that video that Kenji and I did with Marshall, Kenji suggested that Marmoset was the big common payoff. I think it's Snare Tactician, but Marmoset's important too. Crater again. There's this crystal, but we don't want that. Let's take Crater. Marshall is doing a series now where he's kind of bouncing around talking to different people. And Marshall called me, and we chatted for 5 minutes or even less. And then Marshall called Kenji and talked for a similar amount of time. Somebody find it. What is it called? Outside Notes, I think is what the series is called. Go Google Outside Notes on YouTube and you should find it. Or, you know, there you go. Thank you, Hat. Another Marm. Another Coordinated Charge. Or we got this Savai Crystal. Maybe we want a Savai Crystal over a second Coordinated Charge. 2 crystals really does allow us to play this Extinction event. Along with this Scoured Barrens. Yeah, this is dramatically missing Snare Tacticians and therefore removal. Like, that's a problem here, but we do have the parts. I wonder if this... we don't know yet whether the bots have been tuned to highly value Snare Tacticians or whether we just didn't see them. This is a poor person's payoff for the deck. You can do it. It's not particularly good, but it's not unplayable. Oh yeah, we could have considered deadweight on the splash. I really don't, but I considered deadweight early removal, and it didn't feel right for that. We're just gonna have to go with our million cycle ones and this one blade banish. That's interesting. Still, don't think we're playing this crystal. Here's another cycling card that we won't play because it's off color 2. Here's an on color 2 that we might. Got the coordinating charge back. I don't know if they value cycle payoffs. We got a bunch. Let's count the number of cycling payoffs I think we got that are good. That would be, for me, Flourishing Fox, a Stinger, 2 Marmosets, 2 Reflections. So 6. We got 6 payoffs that I consider to be good, which is about what I was saying. You kind of need to feel solid, but they're not the amazing ones that we are missing. Crucially from common Snare Tacticians, and crucially from uncommon, of course, Zenith Lair, but also the Valiant Rescuer. I don't even call this a payoff. This is part of the engine fuel, I think, but I don't consider it like payoffs. To me, win you the game. This helps you not lose the game, especially against other cycling decks doing like Stinger stuff, but it doesn't win you the game. So for me, payoffs can help you win the game. Yes, Fenor says I would trade any of our current payoffs for a Rescuer. I would trade any of our current payoffs for a Rescuer, a Zenith Lair, or a Snare Tactician. Those are the big 3 that we're missing. So, and then let's see. We have a ton of good ones though. So let's talk about mana and how you approach that. Usually I do mana last, but with cycling I like to understand really where I'm at with cycling ones and what we're going to be at with mana. I don't like to put Stinger in cycling 1 because I really don't like to cycle this card. But I'll cycle the healers as needed. Another thing we did not get that I really like, they're not, it's not a huge thing, but it's relevant. We got no 6 mana cycling dudes. The hasty 5/5 and the 3/6 cycle 1 are both excellent for the deck because obviously the cycle 1, but the castability, having castable 6-drop creatures as a backup plan is also excellent. So I wish we had like some of those cycle 2s. But I think we're not going to do the scatters, right? We're just going to do, and probably not the snare, although it becomes castable. These aren't really the ones we want to cast, though. I'm really working on, I want to cast the black side. So we could cut the reconnaissance mission as well. And then we have one, I always want to play the fox too. So if I'm realistically counting my ones, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we could go easily to 14, maybe 13, and this is where I like 13 with a triome is kind of the 14th. This is where I think, I took some, there's some people who strongly disagreed with taking this cycle 3 land over cycle 1, and I don't think there was a payoff. If there was a payoff, I would have taken it over that, but I really like having a land that cycles. It allows me to feel good about going to 13 in this deck, and so let's do that. We're not going to run any of these. Oh, what is our count? We're at 14. So, yeah, actually, I mean, this makes me feel good about going to 14 because it feels like 13 plus a cycling option. The lowest land count, I think I've only gone to 13. I've not gone to 12. I've never had that density of ones. Or maybe I tried 12 in one ridiculous one, but this I think is more along the lines of what we're looking at here. Do we want to weaponize? We don't have the token making that I was hoping that we would end up with. So, and we only have the 7 creatures, so I'm not going to weaponize. And then we come down to, like a hampering snare out. Yeah, that's a good point. We're not going to run all these islands either. We could bring in the wilds, but I don't need to cast. I don't think I want wilds in this. Do you want wilds in this? Yeah, let's talk about that. First, do we want wilds, and do we want wilds with or without islands or swamps? Like, I don't care about casting these very much, but I do want to cast this. Fenrir says it fits in pure, so let's experiment with that then. And where are we at on lands? We're at 15 now, so we could cut. We're cutting these. Anybody redeem lands? Let's not do it on this one anyway. I don't think we're not going to play this out fully unless you all want to, and we could talk about it. 14. So that'd be 14. And don't need this though. And we could play it, but like we're not casting this ever, and I don't need to cast that. So, yeah, that's where I'm at, James. I wanted to do the experiment, but we don't have to play this at all. So I'll pull that right now, too. Little mid-deck build pull here, 30. I'm going to give you 3 choices. 0, 2. It's just going to be the number 2, but a couple is what that means, and all. Like, you just want to play this event out, you want to play a couple, or you don't want to play any. So I want to hear whether you want 0, 2, or all. 2 doesn't mean exactly 2. 2 means I'll aim for a couple. And while you're telling me that, I will figure out our final cuts. Maybe a coordinated charge. And 1 shredded sails. I think I like that. I'm going to call this bot force. This is my force account. All right. We'll just run I'll play 1 or 2 games. We'll see. We'll see how it's doing. Yeah, we can also see what the meta is like in the environment. And yeah, I'm going to call this done. I'm not doing the points on this one. Save your points for the full draft. I'm not doing any bling here. If you ordered bling on this deck, you get it for the actual real draft coming up. Not that this wasn't a real draft, but you know what I mean. I only have 1 set of bling available per day, so now I'm gonna go Evolving Wilds, Crack, and I guess we'll get more plains. Maybe more mountain, doesn't really matter. People can use channel points to get the card backs and lands and deck box art to their satisfaction, but I'm skipping that now because we'll do that for the next draft. No worries, Twitch noob. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play another healer. We're playing a crystal, so we can just play this out. And we have a white-black tap land. You go through the deck so quickly, like 2 crystals and a white-black tap land is fine for this. But I'm going to wait on the crystal. We're going to play a healer and cycle this crater. No swamp. I decided not to. We could talk about that too, but we could put 1 swamp. I just don't, you do want to be able to cast your red-white stuff reliably, and you're on such a low land count to do it. Because this deck floods despite its land counts, and so we want to do some flood prevention. I'm worried. Let's see. I guess they can't Shore Shark because there's nothing to mutate onto, so I think this is a safe attack. Can't remember exactly what's flashy around these parts, but I guess we find out. Yeah, the entry fee is a reason. Yeah, this isn't a big deal. I'm happy to make this trade. 4 for a 2. Yeah, I guess I don't really play around rares. I was trying to think of commons and uncommons that would really punish us. Now I could cycle hoping to find a land, but I'm going to play the guaranteed Marmoset here and just let this trade happen. I'm happy they're tapped out and we know this won't get countered. Yeah, now the question of like why would anybody bot draft? There's reasons of timing, like you want to be able to leave your draft. We're finally at the stage where things are as I intended when I worked on the bots. For those of you who don't know, I was on the design team for MTG Arena for a couple years, and the bots were my purview when I was there, getting them off the ground. And the point of them when I was working on their design was to allow for newer players to draft without a clock. They were never intended, in my mind, to be the long-term play for the feature. So here we have an extinction event, and this is odd, and that's probably going to have to go on odd at some point for the Star X. But we can continue. We can put them to the test here. Send in, and this is where I love that this has the flexibility here of being our 4th land or cycling for 3 depending on where we were at with things. But with the ability to cycle the Marmoset a couple times, we get to go ahead and offer that up, but we won't send in the healer. This screams that we have the goods. There's no way that Oppo blocks here unless they're very new to Magic, which is possible, but most experienced players are not going to block here. Okay, I just don't think they're very experienced. We're gonna teach them something. And this doesn't... Well, this gives us the land we need. I'm just gonna do another memory leak, though. And now that we've drawn our 4th land, I'm inclined to hold the Triome for cycling. But let's think it through, because we might want a 5th land. If we want a 5th land, I should just play that now, because then next turn we can go land number 5, play Crystal, and then still have 3 left over to go Reflection. We won't be able to... Or we could go Wolverine, and then next turn go Reflection Cycle, assuming we get another Cycler. So actually that's, to me, makes it worth playing. I'm actually going to play it. Now that I talk through my options on the following turn, I like having 5 mana. Back for more this turn is a great reason that Oppo would have made that block, being an experienced player. I like that call out. I don't like to presume that I know the experience level of a player based on their actions. It was the block of a newish seeming player, but there are definitely good reanimating reasons to make that block for sure. Yeah, but they might not care. They might like bring it, go ahead and kill this thing, because then I'm going to untap, back for more, fight your Marmoset, and boom, here we are again, right? Back for more indeed. And this is the sad part of playing a tap land that we could have cycled, because now we're going to flood a little, but this is why we have buried in our deck somewhere that that Cathartic Reunion. But here we're going to go attacks with the cycling stuff ready. Or at least this. I don't want to cycle this, but if they put us to the test, we could. And we have good attacks into a Glimmerbell anyway. Another Deadeye. Well, they can't block the Marmoset with that. And I, again, don't really mind the healer. It's not... I don't consider it a critical card for the deck. No, we have a white-black tap land as well, Adrian. And with the way that you cruise through your deck, like, we're at 23 cards. You know, we're only on turn 5 here, but we're almost halfway through our library. So, we're 50-50 to have a black source from a land by turn 5 in the deck, right? That's how that's what Cycling 1 does. Reflection has haste, but I couldn't... it was only if I was willing to Reflection and cycle, and what I want to do is Crystal Wolverine and then try and find a cycling off the top. And then if we do, we can play the Reflection, cycle whatever we draw, and get in. And if not, this isn't a bad spot, and we play the Reflection and get set up for any cycling we draw. Now holding all lands for the Cathartic Reunion play. Yeah, we're close to turning this into a fearsome creature as well. We're now all on board the odd creature train here, so we're hoping that Oppo plays more even creatures. Hard to tell from one draft, Dionysus, but I feel like we got a very fine cycling deck. Not a busted one, but it's hard to know whether it's not busted because the cards weren't in the packs, or whether the bots prioritized those packs, or those picks. Hey, Prof, thank you for the positivity. All right, give us a nice instant or sorcery with cycle. That's the perfect draw for us right now. Close, not quite, but it's better. I'll take it. I'm not going to complain. We're going to go here. We're not... Oppo has made some questionable plays here, so it's reading like Oppo is inexperienced, and haven't seen evidence that the plays that I have questioned had good reasons for them, so... Yeah, but Croaker, you only expect about 2.3 something, 2.4 copies per draft, per 24 packs. So it's quite possible there only happened to be 1 or 2, and they did get picked somewhere across the other side of the table. You know, we just don't have enough info yet. Hey, there's another Cycle 1. And it's probably better as a Cycle 1 at this point, but it's not. It's another one that's not going to turn this into a double striker. So do we want to send in the Wolverine? I think I'm going to cycle this in case there is another 1-mana instant sorcery cycler. And if so, it'll be worth it for the double strike. And if not, we do kind of threaten such a big Marmoset that I will offer this. Hey, there we go. See? Coming up, Millhouse. Coming up, Cycle House. Thank you, James, gifting subs to Prof. Gnocchi. Gnocchi. I always have trouble pronouncing that word. So yeah, we don't know if the bots are valuing tacticians highly or we just didn't see any. We'll have to see what the future brings. But you know what? I'm just going to stop it there. Especially like this also is where less newer players are playing and stuff. So, oh yeah, sorry, I was trying to adjust my stuff and then didn't get to format. But I'm going to just kill this here. And actually kill this here. I'm going to move this to free to play because I'm going to move it on now. We got to play out. You can see what that deck is doing. You can see where it's weak. It doesn't have a lot of reach out removal, or we didn't draw it there. But you can see it was still a quite capable cycling deck, even not having the heavy hitting stuff that you really want to see in a killer version. But I'll hop to Soapbox, say thanks for the quick check-in on the bots here that we did. We openly forced the cycling deck to see how the bots were tuned for it. Looks like they're not tuned to just not make it available like they kind of were with with the mill deck and Eldraine by the end of it, but we'll see how the bots twist and turn for the people who enjoy this queue or have their reasons for not wanting to draft against 7 humans on Arena. But that's what we're going to go do now. So thanks for hanging out, YouTube. Check out the next video that will be against 7 human beings. Yeah.